Amen. Amen. How are y'all doing? How are we doing, Commission? It's good to see you too, Miss Beverly. It's been a few months. Sounds like I have a lisp. I don't know why that is. I don't think I have a lisp, but it is so good to be here. I have missed you guys. It's been, 2 months that we've been gone. We've taken a short sabbatical, a little bit of a hiatus. And so it's because of this guy that we have a couple of pictures of. This is our little man. This is our little Caleb. I think Mama's really missing him right now. He is on Tuesday going to be 8 weeks old, and he is our whole world right now. He is everything we had hoped and prayed for. He has been good to us despite all the usual, the things you would expect: poopy diapers, blowouts, spit ups, everything. All that's to be expected. But he is truly a blessing from God. And we're so grateful for him, for his life. But at the same time, we've missed you guys. And as great as our production team is, and as fantastic of a job that they do, an excellent job, there's something different about being here in person than being watching through our live stream. And it was kind of hard for me, as extroverted as a person that Merrill claims I am to be. It was very hard for me to lay back on my couch and watch a live stream when I'm usually here on a Sunday morning, usually early Saturday, Sunday here with the worship team or in whatever capacity I'm serving. It was really hard for the last 2 months to not do that and to just relax and sit on the couch. But I think it was good for us to take a break and to be away and to spend time with Caleb, to spend time with us. And sometimes it's good to recharge and refill and take that time away. But I know God had a plan for everything, but we are so happy to be here. I'm very happy to be here. I'm very happy to get to talk to you guys and mingle with you guys. Before I go on, I just want to acknowledge Pastor Sonia and Pastor Ashish for this opportunity that they've given me. Pastor Ashish is away in Philly for a wedding, and so that's the only reason I'm here right now. If he was here, I would not be. I would say no as quickly as I could to this, because you guys came for Ashish, not me. No, we came for God. Not let me change that out. I'm sorry. We came for Jesus, not for Ashish, not for Jerry. We came for Jesus. So I'm happy to be here with you guys. Thank you for this opportunity. Let me give you guys a quick story. So the day of Caleb's birth, actually the day before Caleb's birth, we were getting ready to go to the hospital. We had decided ahead of time we were going to induce, and so we had a scheduled time. We had an appointment that we decided to be at the hospital by. And so 4 o'clock on July 31st, 4 p.m., I had taken the second half of the day off from work, but we both had. We go to the hospital as scheduled, as planned. I had my bags packed. I had been yelled at by our friends a few weeks ago, prior to that, because I didn't have my bags ready to go, and they were like, well, what if Caleb comes today? What are you going to do? I'm like, all right, let me pack the bags. So I had the bags ready to go. I had the route planned out. Everything's ready. We get to the hospital for our 4 o'clock appointment. They say, you're only supposed to be here at 9 o'clock. And we're like, nope, that's not right. Call the OB. They called the OB. Nope, it's 4 p.m., so they quickly got a room ready for us. They got us situated, got into the room. We got everything. We had our bags, our suitcases, our pillows, our Tempur-Pedic pillow that we bought for Meryl so she could be comfortable. We had scented aromatherapy for candles for me, because she was like, there's going to be some smells, there's going to be some sounds, there's going to be some things you see that you are probably not going to be really comfortable with. And so go ahead and just bring this. And so I set up our little diffuser station in the corner of the hospital, and I stayed there. I stayed in that corner by that couch for most of the night. But the nurse told us, hey, nothing's really going to happen today. We're not going to give you the Pitocin until tomorrow morning. We're just going to give you something else that neither of us know what it's called, something much lighter tonight. And so you're going to have a nice, peaceful, restful night. And so just kick back, enjoy your last night together before your world turns upside down. Just have a nice sleep, order in hospital room service, watch a movie, and just kick back. I'm like, this sounds like an amazing date. This sounds like an amazing time. This is like what half of our dates sound like, to what they turn into be. And so that nurse was there for about 2 more hours, and then she left, and everything she said went out the window. Like, nothing she said about that night being peaceful and quiet and getting rest, I wish I could have found that nurse again because I wanted to ask her, what is your definition of restful and quiet? Because we didn't sleep that night. Like they said, it's not going to kick in till tomorrow morning. It kicked in that night. It kicked in by 9 p.m. and her contractions started, but they were too far apart, and she was super uncomfortable. I do not envy her or anyone, any woman that's in that position. She was super uncomfortable. The baby was kicking her bladder, so every 15 minutes she was having to run to the bathroom. But going to the bathroom when you're in contractions and labor is not the same as a normal run to the bathroom. You have wires that you got to move around and unplug. You got to carry her and then come back. We got real acquainted with our nurse that night, with the night shift nurse, because she kept coming in every 15 minutes because the wires would change, the baby's heart rate and everything would plummet, but it's not really plummeting, it's just the cables moving around. And so she would come around, she would come back. That happened till 5 a.m. So 5 a.m., at this point, we're just we're just delirious. We don't know what's going on. 5 a.m., her water breaks, 5 or 5:30, her water breaks finally, and all I see is a nurse coming in, and she hits the nurse button, and then I see a flood of nurses walking, 8 nurses walking in, running in. And they say, and I'm like, I don't know what's happening. It looks like she's going to labor. And so about 10 minutes, I didn't know what was happening on. They were adjusting her, asking her if she's okay, readjusting her. And then I finally hear the words OR, and I kind of had a little mental freak out. And I pulled one of the nurses aside, and I asked what's going on. And she said, well, the baby's heart rate dropped, so we're going to rush Meryl into the OR room right now. And so that's when obviously I knew things are real serious, intense. They're like, we're going to put you in your scrubs, and you're going to follow us into the OR room. So followed them to the OR room. And as soon as I walked in, they're like, the baby's heart rate came back up. Everything's okay. We're just going to wait for the OB to come. But I think we don't need to do a C-section. We'll be fine. A few minutes later, the OB, she had rushed to the hospital from home. We love her. And she walked in, and she looked at the charts, the numbers, and she said, while the baby's heart rate is okay right now, we're going to go ahead and do a C-section because we don't want to take a risk. So we proceeded with the C-section. She had an epidural stuck up her several times because they couldn't get it right, and so I did not envy her in that position either. I felt so bad for her, but they stuck her. They got the epidural. They opened her up. The baby came out, and when they opened her up, the baby had the umbilical cord wrapped around his neck and around his body. And so in that moment, we were so grateful to God for the wisdom that he gave that OB to make that judgment call, to make the call to just go ahead and not take a risk, not take a chance. So the baby comes out, and I'm delirious. We got adrenaline going through our veins, like we haven't slept all night. We don't know what's going on. We had a mix of emotions going up and down. And so they're like, get your phone ready, get your phone ready. The baby comes out, and he's beautiful, but in that moment, he wasn't. He had blood and gunk and everything all over him, and he looked like a little alien. His eyes just bulging, and he's angry, and he's screaming. I'm like, God, I don't know who he looks like, but which one of us he looks like, but no matter what, I don't care what he looks like, I'll love him. But man, like, who does he look like? Was this my son? And so I was just but afterward, obviously, they cleaned him off, the swelling went down, everything, and he's just this adorable baby, and every day he keeps getting more and more beautiful. But they cleaned him up. We brought him to Merrill. She was very loopy at that point. I was like, and at that point we hadn't named him yet. We had about 3 names that we were going to pick. And we decided we would only name him once the baby came out. And so she's obviously too loopy, and I asked her, and she was not feeling it. So I was like, it's okay, there's no rush, let's wait. So then we go to the recovery room, and the nurse is like, hey, go ahead and go to the labor and delivery room, get your bags, we're going to the postpartum. So you just see a guy with suitcases and backpacks and my aromatherapy and my water bottles and pillows and everything going down the hallway, going down to the recovery room. And finally, in the recovery room, after 15 hours of just chaos and just not sleeping and not knowing what's happening, we finally got a moment with our son. And I asked her, I was like, and the doctor was like, hey, Meryl's too loopy to do skin to skin. Do you want to? So I ripped my shirt off, sat down. They handed me my baby, and I put him on my chest. And I asked her, hey, what's his name? And she goes, it's your call. And I say, well, for the past 9 months, other names have come and gone, but Caleb has always remained. And you know our testimony. We had a few scares through the pregnancy. We had a drunk driver come during the fasting prayer in January and come and ram us, and we were so scared during that time, but God protected us. He was a fighter. Caleb was bold and brave, and that's what the name of the meaning of the word Caleb, and so that's what we decided to call him, Caleb Alexander, which is her father's name, Caleb Alexander George. And so that's our son. And so we name him, and Meryl falls asleep, and I get a moment with my son, and that was the most beautiful moment, one of the most beautiful moments I've ever had. I got to hold him on my chest, and I just prayed over him, and I told him, Caleb Alexander George, that's your name. I love you, and I'm proud of you. I will always love you, and I will always be proud of you. And there is nothing that you can do in your life to ever change that, because you are my son. You have my name on you. You have my DNA flowing through your veins. And God gave me you as a gift, and you will always be loved. There's nothing you could ever do, nowhere you could run to ever change my love for you. Paul reminds us in his letter to the Romans that we are sons and daughters of God. We are children of our Father, bought at a price so that we could have freedom, so that we could walk in freedom and in liberty. Today I want to talk about the good life and what that means as Christians. One of my favorite artists, OneRepublic, they have a song called The Good Life, but their version and meaning of the good life is very different from what God intended for us to have as a good life, as a purposeful, driven, intentional life. So I want to talk about that for a few minutes today. Turn with me to Romans chapter 8, verses 12 through 17. So then, brothers, we are debtors, not to the flesh, to live according to the flesh. For if you live according to the flesh, you will die. But if by the Spirit you put to death the deeds of the body, you will live. For all who are led by the Spirit of God are sons of God. And you did not receive the spirit of slavery to fall back into fear, but you have received the spirit of adoption as sons, by whom we cry, Abba, Father. The Spirit himself bears witness with our spirit that we are children of God, and if children, then heirs, heirs of God, and fellow heirs with Christ, provided we suffer with him in order that we may also be glorified with him. Jesus secured your freedom on the cross when he adopted you as a son and a daughter. So it is vital that we first and foremost in our life know and establish what our identity is, that you are a son and a daughter of the Heavenly Father. Your identity never changes because the one who has given you your identity does not change. Caleb, no matter what he does in his life, his identity as a son of mine, as Caleb Alexander George, will never change and God says, your identity never changes because the one who has given it does not change. What you have done does not define you. Your past sin does not define you. Your accomplishments don't define you. Your job does not define you. Your relationships don't define you. Your role as a husband or a father, a wife, a mother, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, whatever it is, that does not define you. But you are defined by the identity that Christ won for you on the cross when he adopted you as his son and daughter, as his heir. The love of Jesus, it defines you, and he gives you an identity. Paul frequently reminded the churches and the fellow apostles of their identity as heirs of God. He understood the importance of what it is to be a child of God and to know first and foremost in your heart of that identity and that calling. In Romans, in the passage that we read, he told the church in Rome. In Galatians 3:29, he says, if you are Christ, then you are Abraham's offspring, heirs according to promise. In Galatians 4:7, he says, so you are no longer a son, but a slave, but a son. And if a son, then an heir through God. And to the Ephesians, he says, in the opening statement in his letter, he says, in love, he predestined us for adoption to himself as sons through Jesus Christ, according to the promise of his will. In his letter to Titus, he says, so that being justified by his grace, we might become heirs according to the hope of eternal life. Paul reminded the churches of this because he understood the importance of knowing who you are. The prodigal son threw everything away, and yet when he came back, he still remained the son of his father. His identity did not change despite how far he fell in his life. But to live life to its fullest, you must understand your purpose. You will only understand your purpose if you first know who you are. And the only way to know who you are is to remember whose you are. The fact that you are a son and daughter and heir of God does not change when you leave the four walls of the church. When you go on Monday back into work or to school, when you go to lunch after church, or when you enter back into your home and resume your role as a husband or father or a wife, a mother, it does not change the fact that you are still a child of God. It does not change your identity. There's nothing that you do in life, there's nowhere that you go that should change the fact that you are a son or a daughter of God. It is only once we understand that, once we comprehend that, can we live life to its fullest. Can we live life with the full purpose and intent that God predestined for us, that God made us to be and to do. Don't compartmentalize God to church. Don't compartmentalize your identity as a son or a daughter of God to when you're serving in church, or when you're in midweek service on Wednesday, or when you're at young adults, or when you're in married life group, or wherever you serve. Don't compartmentalize God and as a byproduct your identity with God to just church, but make sure that it's a part of your life. Make sure it's a part and an aspect of every part of your life. Because only once we, like I said, only once we understand our identity will we know our purpose and our calling and be able to live life to the fullest and live with excellence. Once we live with excellence in everything we do, we can strive for excellence at work, we can strive for excellence at school, we can strive for excellence at home, we can strive for excellence in every interaction that we come across with, because that is what God is asking us to do. In Colossians 3:23, Paul said, whatever you do, work heartily as for the Lord and not for man. We are called to excellence in every part of our lives. And if the way you live does not reflect the one that you live for, then you are not living out your God-given purpose. Live your life intentionally. And if God has given you a purpose and placed you right where you are supposed to be, then live in the now intentionally. Don't live waiting for tomorrow. Don't live your Monday to Thursday waiting for the weekend, but rather live every moment that God has given you with purpose and with intention. And that can only start once you know who you are as a child of God. Because only once we understand that can we understand why God just placed us where we are right now. You might not be in the job that you want to be. Your family life might not be how you want it to look right now. You might be in what you think is a temporary situation in your life, what you think is just a means to an end. But you, being a child of God, being an heir of God, are right where God wants you to be. And God has a purpose for where He has placed you right now. And so every challenge that comes your way, every obstacle, anything that arises, anything that God allows you to go through is only so that He can fulfill His purpose in your life. I have one of my analysts at work. She started in December. She's great, has a great attitude. But recently, when I went back to work after paternity leave, she didn't seem like herself. And so I found out shortly after that she had told some of the other managers that she was looking to make a change to a different department, make a lateral move in the company. And so the other managers, some of them said, we'll support you no matter what. Others voiced their displeasure with her and asked, why she was making such a quick move. And so I told her, hey, let's go grab coffee and let's talk. So we chatted, and I started asking her, I said, what's going on? Why are you looking to make this move? And she wanted to leave fund accounting and go into vendor management, a role you don't even need an accounting degree for. I asked her, what's going on? Why do you want to make this move? And she says, well, vendor management seems like a really cool opportunity. It seems more up my alley. I get to talk with people outside of the company a little bit more. And it just seems like, from everyone I'm talking to over there, that they really like their job and what they do, and it just seems really interesting. I said, okay, what else? She said, well, I feel there's a lot going on at work. I feel really burdened. I feel overwhelmed. There's a lot going on, a lot of tasks that I've been given. I said, okay, what else? She said, I don't have a great relationship with one or two other members of the team. and I feel like I've struggled with my relationship with them, my professional relationship with them for some time now. I said, okay, what else? How's your personal life? How are things at home? She said, not great. Don't have a really great relationship with my sister, and there's just a lot going on in my life right now, and just feel mentally down. And I asked her, is it that you want to make a move to enhance your career, to further your career, or are you making a move to, it seems like you might be making a move to get out of the situation that you're in right now and look for greener pastures somewhere else. And I feel like that is a common theme with a lot of us, is that when things get tough, we try to look for a way out. We try to look for an escape. I love this line that Pastor said a week ago. He said, don't let your present pain alter your future purpose. That's what he said. I love that quote. I love that line. I can't take credit for it, but I loved it when he said it. Don't let your present pain alter your future purpose. If God has placed you where you are intended to be as his son and daughter, then why are you trying to speed things up and find the quickest exit ramp as soon as things get a little hard, a little challenging where you're at? And I'm not just talking about a situation at work. If it's at work or at school, in your family life, with your relationships, why are you looking to expedite, speed things along, and find a quick and easy relief for the challenge, the suffering that you are currently in, and trying to alter the plan that God has for your life? A lot of times we are so hesitant to face a challenge because we just want to look for the easy way out, and we want to look for a quick way, and easy relief, and comfort to what we're going through. And if that might look like work for you, and you're trying to find something else, some other path, because what you're doing right now is not suited to you. If you are, and I'm not talking to you if you are trying to move your career along or further things along, but I'm talking to those of you who are maybe stuck in a rut, or you are stuck in just a moment in your life, and you are trying to alter your career, or alter your life based on a temporary pain. And that is what God does not want us to do, because God has placed us somewhere. He has placed you in certain situations so that you can face challenges. In Romans chapter 5, verses 3-5, Paul says, not only that, but we rejoice in our sufferings, knowing that suffering produces endurance, and endurance produces character, and character produces hope. And hope does not put us to shame, because God's love has been poured into our hearts through the Holy Spirit who has been given to us. He encourages us to rejoice in suffering and the challenges that arise, because challenges are what shape us and help to mold us. I often tell my friends, I tell our young adults, as soon as a challenge arises in your life, don't run, but ask God for the grace and the wisdom to face the challenge head on. Otherwise, how will we grow? If life is easy, if we're always looking for the easy path out, how will we ever grow as a person and fulfill the purpose and calling that God has right where you're at? It's important to understand that as a child of God, and you will not understand that unless you realize your identity as a child of God, and what God has given you and where God has placed you is with purpose and intent. I love the Cowboys defense. I'm a huge Cowboys fan, and every year they disappoint us. Every year they do. There's no sugarcoating it. Every year they fail to meet the mark. They fail to get past the first or second round. But for the past couple of years, though, their defense has been amazing, right? This year, especially the first two games, their defense has been amazing. But it's not just the first two games; it's been the past couple of years. It's just our offense can't get it together. That's what I think anyway. I'm no coach, but the Cowboys' defense wouldn't be this amazing defense if they just showed up on Sunday. Right? They put in the work Monday through Saturday. They watch tape. They watch film. They analyze the other team's offense. They analyze the other opponent that they're about to face their offense. They analyze their own struggles and what they have done, the mistakes that they have made, what they've done well, and where they've struggled. They analyze the opponent's strengths and weaknesses. They run drills. They do practice. They have their blood, sweat, and tears poured Monday through Saturday so that they can execute a game plan on Sunday, so that they can execute it well and be prepared, and not just not show up because they're playing, let's say, the Kansas City offense or some amazing offense. They don't just take a Sunday off because
that's too good of an offense. We'll just take the L for this week, but they're not even a division rival. Let's not worry about it. No, that's not the game plan that they go into Sunday with. Every Sunday, they put their best foot forward so that they can be the number 1, number 2 defense in the NFL. What does your Monday to Thursday, your Monday to Friday look like? I feel like a lot of us live for the weekend. We just want to get through Monday and Thursday, because that's been me a lot. I don't like work. I don't like working 10, 12 hours. I can't do this life anymore. I just want to get to the weekend. I just want to get to Friday so we can party, we can have fun, we can enjoy, we can hang out, we can catch NFL games and college games, we can come to church and hang out, we can go get lunch and have dinner with our friends and our family and get out. And we forget about Monday to Thursday. We just want to get by. We just want to skim by. We just want to do the bare minimum and get by so that we can get to where we want to be. But God created Monday to Thursday with a plan and a purpose and an intent. There's a reason that you live out Monday to Thursday. There's a reason that God created those days so that you could work, so that you could fulfill your life's purpose and calling and live out your life to its fullest. Every day, every moment that God has given you is with purpose and intent, because you are his child and he wants the best for you, and he wants to continue to mold you and to shape you into all that he desires you to be, so that you can live life to its fullest and live a good and prosperous life. Not prosperous talking about money, but prosperous talking about your character and every quality, every aspect of your life. Amen. I want to repeat Romans 5 one more time, 3-5. Not only that, but we rejoice in sufferings, knowing that suffering produces endurance, and endurance produces character, and character produces hope. And hope does not put us to shame, because God's love has been poured into our hearts through the Holy Spirit who has been given to us. Face the challenge. Face the challenge. Face your Monday to Thursday. Face every part of your life, because God has given it to you. And as his son and his daughter, he will give you the strength to face those challenges and to grow and to persevere and to endure. Living a life of excellence is also your testimony. And that's my final point, is to live as a witness to God. Worship team, you can get ready to come back up. Living as a witness to God is the purpose of your life. It is your testimony. The reason we live with excellence is because our life is a testimony to the world. So the last 2 months, like I said, we've been catching the live stream from home. And I took it upon myself to, because we're not here and able to have donuts and kolaches Sunday morning breakfast here, I was like, I want to get the full experience as much as I can. And so I would go to a donut shop most every Sunday, and it's mainly for Merrill too, not just for me. And we don't want Caleb to be the only one that eats, on a regular basis. And so, but if y'all know me, y'all know how much I love donuts. It's my kryptonite. I love donuts. It's what helps me keep this incredible physique intact. And if you guys want to take it a step further, there's something called a cronut, which apparently I heard there's some cronuts here today. But a cronut, if you haven't heard of what a cronut is, let me bless you. A cronut is a donut and a croissant put together. And after the cross, it's probably God's greatest gift to humanity. It is so good. The second you take a bite into it, my mom tried it the other day, and she was like, "What is this? This is not a regular donut." It's not. It's really not. It is so good. And so I think it was Krista that told us recently that there was a place in Murphy that sells cronuts. And so before that, we had been driving like 20, 25 minutes to get a cronut. And I was like, I'm willing to make the drive. I have no shame. I will pay the gas, take the time to go drive out there and enjoy these cronuts. But when I found out that there was something 5 minutes from my home, that's even more dangerous, obviously. And so we started going on Sunday morning. And so I get on a Sunday morning before service starts, try to get ahead of it. And we went to the donut. I went to the donut shop. And apparently this is a really popular donut shop in Wiley. It's called Share Donut, I think. And so I get to the door, and the line is to the door. And So I get to the back. I get to the back of the line by the door, and I'm just waiting in line for my cronuts, and I'm just on my phone. I'm just I don't know, texting or probably setting my fantasy football lineups for that day or something, and all of a sudden I just hear the conversation of the kids at the front of the line. There was these 3 kids. I think it was 2 girls and a boy, teenagers, and they were at the front of the line deciding what they wanted to eat. And the girls had decided, and they're asking the guy, "Hey, what do you want?" He goes, no, I'm good, don't worry about me. And they said, "No, come on, get something. It's free, it's on us, don't worry about it." And he says, "No, nothing is free in life." I was like, that's a macroeconomic line right there. There's no free lunch, that's good. But without missing a beat, without taking a breath, one of the girls goes, "But the love of Jesus is free." Y'all, I was on my phone just listening to the conversation, and I look up and my jaw dropped, and I couldn't help but smile without taking a breath. This girl just witnessed not only to this dude, but to the whole donut shop, because I heard it in the back of the donut shop. I heard in the back of the line, "But the love of Jesus is free." The boldness that she had to, without taking a breath, be so sure of her identity and her purpose that she was brave and immediately told him, "But the love of Jesus is free." Man, that's good. That hit me deep, because I don't know if I would have been, I don't know if that would have been the line that I would have said next. I'm like, "All right, cool. If you don't want your donut, that's fine. I'll take yours too." But the fact that she was able to witness. See, Matthew 5:14-16 says, "You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Nor do people light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a stand. And it gives light to all in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven." Your good works will not get you to heaven. It's your faith that takes you to heaven. It's your faith that saves you. But the good works that you do, the testimony that you live, when you live out your purpose and live out your life to its fullest where God has placed you, those good works could be what is a light and a testimony to someone else, right? Your faith will get you to heaven, but your good works are what glorify God, because everyone around you will see your good works, will see how hard you work, how diligently you work, how passionate you are where God has placed you. What do you exude where God has placed you? Do you exude joy? Do you exude happiness? Are you a joy to be around? Because they probably know that you're a Christian. As hard it is sometimes these days to talk about being a Christian, and especially in the workplace, they probably know you're a Christian. And knowing that, what is your testimony of God to them in the way that you act, in the way you conduct yourself, in the way that you put your best foot forward and not stumble, not blame others, not complain, but work hard, work diligently, so that your testimony and that your good works would give glory to your Father who is in heaven. Matthew 7:21-23 says, "Not everyone who says to me, 'Lord, Lord,' will enter the kingdom of heaven, but the one who does the will of my Father who is in heaven. And on that day many will say to me, 'Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name, and cast out demons in your name, and do many mighty works in your name?' And then will I declare to them, 'I never knew you. Depart from me, you workers of lawlessness.'" See, we can't testify of someone that we don't know. We can't live out our purpose and our calling and be a testimony to the world around us if we don't know the one who has called us, the one who has given you and me an identity, the one who has put his name, his mark on you. You are marked by Christ. You are marked. You are not of this world, but we are called to be higher than this world. That song that we sang today said, "Day and night, night and day, let incense arise." Your worship is not just here at church. Your worship is everywhere you go. We are called to be carriers of his presence. We are the New Testament priests. That means that no matter not just at church, but everywhere you go, every store you walk into, every situation, every circumstance you walk into, you carry the light of God. You carry the presence of God. He goes with you because you are His. You are His son and daughter. So how do you testify of the one who has called you? Are you bold? Are you brave? Do you work hard? Is your testimony a good witness of God, a good representation of the one who has called you? Are you living out your life to its fullest, with meaning, with purpose, with intent, working hard, grinding when you need to, and enjoying life when you need to, being a joy to be around, not being someone that people want to walk away from, but being a light on a hill that people are drawn to, that people are attracted to, that people want to come and talk with you, sit with you, have lunch with you, get coffee with you, come to you for questions, come to you when they have a prayer, because they know that you are different, because they know your testimony is something different, because you serve someone who's different. You serve someone who's not of this world, but a one who has a greater plan and a purpose and who holds you. We can't testify of someone that we don't know. If Caleb does not know me, that's on me. But he can't talk about me when he grows up if he does not know me. He can have my name, but if he doesn't talk with me and walk with me and have lunch with me and enjoy his time with me, he can't talk about me. Know the Lord and be known for your testimony. You see, when Caleb grows up, after all the poopy diapers, after all the blowouts, the spit ups, after all the joys that we share with him in his life, getting to play with him, getting to talk to him, and then every time he's sad, comforting him, being with him, soothing him, and doing that over and over for years, I hope that when he grows up, he would be proud of me. He would be proud to talk about me. And that it would not just be a name that he has, but it would be so much more. Are you proud in the donut shop? Are you proud to be able to say the love of Jesus is free? Are you proud to be able to witness to those around you? I've often caught myself at many times failing to do that because what will someone else think? And that's not right. It's not fair, because God hopes for so much more than that. He hopes as your Father, as the one who has so much love for you, a purpose, a meaning for you, for your life. He wants so much more than that. He wants for you to love him, to be proud of him, to be able to witness him wherever you go, and in everything you do to exemplify him. Stand with me, church. Living the good life is a life of purpose and testimony. So live your life boldly for the Lord, not quietly, not a lamp under a shade, but as a lamp, as a city on a hill. Let your light shine to those around you. Wherever you go, God has placed you there with a purpose. Even in your secular job, God has placed you there with a purpose so that through your good works, He may be glorified. It's not for you, it's for Him. Your ministry is to Him. Your ministry is not to those around you. Your ministry is to the Lord. It's Him that we worship. It is Him that we serve. And worship does not end as soon as you walk out of the church. Your life is a worship to God. It's a testimony to God. And so everywhere you go, everywhere you walk, be bold, be brave. Walk in the fullness of everything God has called you to walk in. Walk in the fullness of the purpose God has meant and intended for you. But you can't do that if you don't know who you are. If you don't know that you are a son and a daughter of God, and remember that and know that you are His.